Imagine waking up, let's say it's December of 2024. You roll over, you look at your phone, and the headlines are just like absolutely screaming at you.
Yeah, I remember that perfectly.
Great. They were all saying the exact same thing. Artificial General Intelligence, or AGI, is practically here. I mean, OpenAI had just released their O3 model, and it absolutely crushed this notoriously difficult AI benchmark.
People were panicking.
Totally panicking, or celebrating, depending on who you ask. People were writing, thousands of think pieces about the end of human labor. It felt completely inevitable.
It really did.
But flash forward to today. It's April 2026, and a brand new test just dropped. It's called ARC-AGI-3. And those exact same frontier AI systems, the ones we thought were like bordering on superintelligence just over a year ago.
They're completely bombing it.
Exactly. They are currently scoring below 1%.
Mm.
Meanwhile, ordinary humans taking this exact same test with absolutely zero special training, mind you, are scoring 100%.
It is a completely jarring reality check.
Mm.
I mean, in less than 18 months, we have gone from being on the supposed verge of the technological singularity to watching these billion-dollar algorithms just completely freeze up on tasks that a teenager can figure out in a few minutes.
It is wild. And, well, that massive contradiction is exactly what we are looking at today. We got our hands on a really eye-opening article by Dr. Jonathan H. Westover, and it's titled, "When Artificial Intelligence Confronts the Unknown."
It's a fantastic piece.
It really is. So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out why these massively powerful, insanely expensive models are suddenly failing so spectacularly. And more importantly, we are going to look at what this massive intelligence gap means for you, how you navigate your career, your business, and your investments going forward. Okay, let's unpack this.
So to really get into this, the first thing we need to do is fundamentally redefine what intelligence actually is.
Yeah.
Because the way the tech industry has been measuring it for the last decade is deeply flawed.
Wait, hold on. Let me push back on that for a second. If an AI can pass a bar exam or write a flawless Python script in 2 seconds or, accurately diagnose a medical scan, why does it matter how we define it? I mean, it is still doing the work of 3 highly paid white-collar professionals.
That is the exact trap everyone falls into.
Mm.
And Westover's article brings in a 2019 formal framework from a researcher named Francois Chollet to explain this.
Okay.
Chollet draws a really strict line between 2 distinct concepts, skill and intelligence. Passing the bar exam, writing code, or even beating a world champion at chess. Those are skills.
Right.
Skill is simply the ability to perform a specific task that you have been trained to do.
So if that is skill, what is intelligence? Because I think we kind of use those words interchangeably in everyday life.
We do, but they are very different. Intelligence is the efficiency of acquiring new skills in completely unfamiliar domains. It's how well you perform when you are dropped into a situation where your previous training just doesn't apply.
I see.
In psychology, researchers like Spelk and Kinsler refer to this as fluid intelligence. It is the innate human capacity to reason and solve novel problems entirely independent of acquired knowledge. And humans do this constantly without even realizing it.
It's like the difference between a classically trained musician and a jazz musician.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. Think of the classically trained musician as today's AI models. They possess this undeniable, almost superhuman skill. You can put any incredibly complex, historically difficult piece of sheet music in front of them, and they will sight read it flawlessly. But they fundamentally need the sheet music. They need the explicit instructions of what has already been written.
What's fascinating here is how perfectly that maps onto large language models and the newer large reasoning models.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they look incredibly smart since they possess massive, almost incomprehensible skill due to their task-specific training. They have read the sheet music of the entire internet.
Right.
But fluid intelligence, the jazz musician, in your analogy, is entirely different.
Exactly. You hand a jazz musician an instrument they've maybe never even seen before, drop them on a stage with a band they don't know, playing a song they've never heard.
And they just figure it out.
They just listen, adapt, find the groove, and figure out how to jam on the spot. They don't have sheet music.
And that is exactly what current AI lacks.
Yeah.
Its actual intelligence, its ability to adapt efficiently when faced with a genuinely novel environment without the sheet music, is highly constrained. It is strictly bound to its domain knowledge.
So if the AI is essentially just a world-class sheet music reader, how on earth do you build a test for a jazz musician? Like, how do you test for the actual unknown?
That is where the ARC-AGI benchmark series comes in, and its evolution is a perfect mirror for the evolution of our own understanding of AI.
Okay, take me back to the beginning of that.
Let's go back to 2019 with the release of the first ARC-AGI, which stands for the Abstraction and Reasoning Corpus. The researchers knew that AI cheats on tests by just memorizing answers from its training data.
Right, because it's read everything.
Exactly. So they designed ARC specifically to resist memorization.
The format of this test is so interesting. You are shown a few examples of a visual grid, 30 squares by 30 squares, filled with up to 10 different colors. And you have to infer a transformation rule to figure out what the final unsolved grid should look like.
Yep.
But the catch is it doesn't rely on cultural knowledge or language or math equations. It relies on what they call core knowledge priors.
Right. Basically, human intuition.
Exactly. Basic intuition about things like geometry, physics, and objectness. Things a literal toddler understands. And for a human, it takes like 30 seconds to look at it and go, oh, all the blue squares are falling to the bottom. But for AI,
It was a brick wall. In 2020, top teams on Kaggle, which is basically a massive competitive battleground platform for data scientists, threw insane computational brute force at these grids.
yeah.
The absolute best they could do was 20% accuracy.
Wow. 20%.
Yeah. It took until late 2024 for OpenAI's O3 model to finally crack that first benchmark. And they only did it by using what we call test time reasoning.
Which means instead of just blurting out the first answer, the model pauses, burns a ton of computational power to essentially talk to itself, tries different paths, and then answers.
Right.
Which is what generated those massive 2024 headlines we talked about at the beginning. People thought the AI is reasoning. It has fluid intelligence.
But the researchers were skeptical, so they escalated the challenge. In 2025, they dropped ARC-AGI-2. They kept the visual grid format, but added much deeper multi-step reasoning.
Okay, so it's harder.
Much harder. The human solve time went up from 30 seconds to about 300 seconds. But the AI struggled horribly again.
Of course it did.
NVIDIA managed to hit 24% accuracy, but only by throwing a massive 4 billion parameter model at it. And think of parameters as the individual connections in a digital brain.
That sounds expensive.
Extremely. And they had to pump it full of synthetic data, meaning they had to use other AIs to generate millions of state practice tests just to teach it how to take the test.
Which feels like studying for the exam rather than actually getting smarter. And that brings us to the Gemini 3 reveal, which is probably the most mind-blowing part of this entire article. I mean, this is crazy.
It was a massive aha moment for the AI research community. The researchers were running verification tests on the ARC benchmark using a model called Gemini 3.
Okay.
And suddenly, it started getting high scores. But when they looked under the hood at how it was solving the puzzles, they noticed something highly unusual.
What was it doing?
The model was spontaneously using an exact, highly specific integer-to-color mapping. Basically, it knew that the number 2 meant red, the number 3 meant green, and so on.
Wait.
Yeah.
But the prompt given to the AI never mentioned the ARC-AGI test by name, and it never provided that number-to-color key.
It's right.
So when the AI improved, it wasn't actually getting smarter at reasoning. It just memorized the cheat codes from its training data.
That is exactly what happened. It proves AI is still completely bound by domain knowledge. Imagine you're taking a visual puzzle test on a piece of paper. But instead of looking at the shapes on the front, you somehow magically memorized the microscopic printing press codes stamped on the back of the paper.
Oh, wow.
That is what happened. The AI had scraped and ingested so much of the internet, including the actual software developer discussions and GitHub code repositories where the ARC test was originally built, that it recognized the hidden code structure driving the puzzles.
That is insane. So it literally just recognized the sheet music.
Precisely. Its performance wasn't fluid intelligence. It was just a denser, more exhaustive sampling of the test space during its training phase.
Which brings us to the ultimate reality check, March 2026. ARC-AGI-3.
Yes.
The researchers realized they couldn't just give the AI a static puzzle anymore because given enough time, the AI would eventually just scrape the internet and memorize all possible puzzles.
Just a matter of compute power at that point.
Right. So ARC-AGI-3 completely flips the script. It tests agentic intelligence. It drops the test subject into totally interactive, completely novel digital environments.
No instructions.
No explicit instructions at all.
Yeah.
You have to poke around, explore, infer what the goal even is, and adapt your plan on the fly.
And that is why the results are what they are. AI scores less than 1%. Ordinary humans score 100%. Because when you remove the ability to memorize the past, the AI freezes.
So what does this all mean? We have this incredible technology that is world-class at executing skills, but has zero fluid intelligence. What does that hard boundary mean for the real world?
It creates a very distinct line between what can be reliably automated right now and what cannot.
Okay, break that down for me.
On one side, we have automatable domains. For a domain to be automatable, it must meet 3 strict conditions. First, clear verifiability, meaning there are well-defined criteria for what is correct. Second, vast amounts of training data.
And the third.
The work must require within-distribution reasoning.
Let me translate that last one for a second. Within distribution reasoning just means you are applying established rules to situations that look a whole lot like the data the AI was already trained on.
Exactly.
You aren't asking it to invent a fundamentally new approach to physics.
Which is a perfect segue, because the article uses Steve Su's 2025 documentation on quantum physics to explain this.
Right.
Specialized AI has been incredibly successful at discovering novel results in quantum physics. Now that sounds impossibly complex. It sounds like high-level fluid intelligence.
Right. I mean, if it can do quantum physics, why can't it do my job?
Because quantum physics is highly mechanistic. The math is either right or it is wrong. It is incredibly clear, strict verification criteria.
Ah, verifiability.
Exactly. The AI can generate 1,000 complex mathematical propositions and instantly check its own math to see which one balances. But contrast that with pharmaceutical research.
This is where the boundary gets really clear. In pharma, AI is brilliant at taking 2 known chemicals and predicting how they will fold together. That is a skill. It's verifiable. But if you ask the AI, hey, what completely new, unexplored chemical pathways should we dedicate $50 million to researching next year?
It completely falls apart.
Setting the direction, the exploration phase where you don't even know what you were looking for yet requires human fluid intelligence. You cannot math verify a totally unknown future.
You really can't.
So if I am a CEO or a department manager listening to this and I have a massive budget for technology this year, how do I avoid throwing money at an AI project that is essentially asking a calculator to write a symphony? Like, how do I not blow my budget on something destined to fail?
You have to follow the playbook for organizational investment outlined in the article, which aligns directly with those verifiability boundaries we just established. It breaks down into 3 distinct tiers.
Okay, let's play this out. Let's say I've got that budget. I'm assuming tier 1 is where I'm spending the big bucks, the heavy, confident investments.
Yes. Tier 1 is heavy investment, and you only deploy it in highly verifiable domains. Standard software development, massive data analysis, processing routine legal contracts.
Right, stuff with clear rules.
Exactly. The AI knows the rules, the data is dense, and crucially, the AI can mathematically prove it did the job right.
Got it. So what about tier 2? Because not everything is binary math.
Tier 2 is for measured investment, and this is key paired with robust human oversight. These are domains with partial verifiability.
Like what?
Think of things like research synthesis or preliminary market data analysis. The AI acts as an incredible accelerator, but you absolutely cannot trust it blindly. It requires a human in the loop to verify the context.
And I'm guessing tier 3 is the danger zone.
Oh, absolutely. Tier 3 is strictly support tools only. These are the non-verifiable, highly novel domains, setting long-term corporate strategy, responding to an unprecedented PR crisis, or driving creative innovation.
So no autopilot here.
None. You do not hand the wheel over to the autonomous AI here, because it lacks the fluid intelligence to navigate the unknown.
And there is a brutal economic reality underlying this too, right? Because these models are using test time reasoning now, they are burning massive amounts of computational power.
It's staggering.
The article mentions that running the ARC-AGI-3 evaluations using high reasoning API calls costs tens of thousands of dollars for a single comprehensive run.
That is the silent budget killer right there. If your organization tries to use an autonomous AI to solve a novel Tier 3 problem, you aren't just going to get a bad, hallucinated result.
You're going to go broke.
Yes, you're going to burn a massive hole in your operating budget, watching the AI endlessly spin its wheels, burning expensive compute time, trying to brute force a solution it can't natively understand.
Yep.
The return on investment has to justify the API burn rate.
We are already seeing this boundary enforced in the real world. Think about Amazon's warehouse AI. It is incredibly efficient, but it operates with strictly quantifiable metrics.
Very strict.
The second a weird exception occurs, say, a truck spills an unknown substance on the loading dock, strict human intervention kicks in. The AI isn't trained for the unknown spill.
Or look at the medical field. The deployments that actually work and save lives don't try to replace the doctor. They use the AI as a second opinion to process thousands of routine imaging scans.
Right, doing the verifiable heavy lifting.
Exactly. The AI flags anomalies based on its training data, but the human physician maintains the contextual relationship with the patient and handles the atypical presentations.
To me, the finance sector is the clearest example of this. Algorithmic trading, basic fraud detection, those are verifiable, data-rich domains. They are totally AI-driven now.
Yes, mostly automated.
But relationship banking, structuring a highly sensitive, complex merger during an unprecedented global market crisis, that is entirely human territory.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the goal for any smart organization isn't about replacing humans to save a few dollars on payroll. That is a short-sighted trap.
What's the real goal then?
The goal is role redesign for complementarity. You want to perfectly match the AI scale and ability to process verifiable data with the human's adaptability when facing sudden, unstructured novelty.
Here's where it gets really interesting. If our distinct ultimate advantage over AI is navigating the unknown, we have a massive problem.
We do.
Because we have to recognize that the way modern organizations currently operate actively destroys this human capability. We must build long-term organizational intelligence.
This is perhaps the most urgent takeaway from the ARC-AGI-3 results. The benchmark demands that its subjects adapt, explore, and learn instantly. It requires deep, uninterrupted fluid intelligence. But look at our modern corporate structures.
They're a mess.
They are incredibly rigid. They do not foster that kind of cognitive flexibility.
Mm.
Organizations need adaptive learning systems, just like the test demands.
The article mentions exploration protocols, highlighting BMW's lighthouse facilities for additive manufacturing.
That's a brilliant example.
Instead of trying to overhaul their entire massive production line with unproven 3D printing tech, they create small-scale, tightly bounded experimental facilities. They explore the unknown safely, they learn incredibly fast from their failures, and then they apply those lessons.
You also need rapid feedback mechanisms. Spotify has been doing this for years with their squad-based organizational structures.
Oh, right, the squads.
Yeah, they use small, highly autonomous teams that can deploy a software change, measure the user response, and iterate immediately. They are optimizing for the speed of learning rather than just the speed of blind production.
And then there is the human element, who you are actually putting on these teams. Westover cites a brilliant 2007 study by Page, which shows that cognitively diverse teams consistently beat homogeneous teams when faced with complex, novel problems.
It makes total sense if you think about it.
Right. If you just hire a bunch of people who all share the same background, went to the same schools, and think the exact same way, you are essentially building a biological AI model. You have very high skill in one specific area, but zero adaptability when the environment suddenly shifts.
But even if you have a diverse team, the most critical infrastructure an organization has is the human mind's capacity for deep work, sustained concentration.
Which is practically extinct.
Microsoft Research has actually documented internal efforts to fiercely preserve focus time for their engineers, actively working to reduce meeting loads and asynchronous demands so people can actually think.
Think about the incredible irony of the modern workplace here. The whole promise of the AI revolution was that we could hand off the boring, repetitive, standardized tasks to the machines.
That was the dream.
The AI takes the grunt work, freeing humans up to do the hard, complex, creative, cognitive work. We get to be the jazz musicians, but what does our actual day look like?
Bing bongs. Endless pace.
Yes, it is 35 Slack notifications an hour. It is 3 quick sync Zoom calls that entirely break your concentration. It is constant fractured attention. The corporate culture we built actively prevents the exact kind of deep work that humans now desperately need to do to stay relevant. We are literally distracting ourselves out of our only competitive advantage.
It is profound self-sabotage. If you and fluid intelligence is our only remaining moat against automation, then breaking human concentration every 5 minutes isn't just annoying. It is corporate suicide.
So bringing it all together, the panic and the headlines from 2024 were wrong. The journey to artificial general intelligence is still incredibly long. As the ARC-AGI-3 benchmark definitively proved, AI is a powerful tool, but it is a strictly bounded tool.
Very bounded.
It requires verifiability, it requires vast amounts of data, it requires a known domain and the sheet music to play from. Human intelligence, our fluid, adaptable capacity to be dropped into the absolute unknown and figure it out on the fly, remains our ultimate competitive moat.
This raises an important question, and it is something I really want you to mull over after we wrap up here today.
Let's hear it.
If the ARC-AGI-3 benchmark proves, without a doubt, that humanity's greatest superpower is our fluid intelligence and our ability to adapt to the unknown, why are our modern education systems still rigidly testing students on memorization, standardized correctness, and known domains?
Wow.
Are we accidentally training the next generation of humans to compete with AI on the exact skills where machines have already won, while entirely neglecting the very adaptive intelligence that sets us apart in the first place?
That is a chilling thought to leave on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep protecting your focus and keep exploring the unknown.